Yeah, Nimrod knew trigonometry. He was definitely plotting out Portal Stargate, firmament disabling tech that also doubled as the new capital for heaven and earth. Check it out. You saw part 1, this thought experiment's about to go way deeper. We're gonna dig up some evidence. Babel, etymology, Nimrod, Orion, when will the firmament disable, did God lie, and so much other stuff. All for entertainment, theories, and thinking, let's turn on the Bunsen burners. Babel etymology, by the way, means gate of the gods, or gateway of the gods, back into the Stargate concept. Migdal Babel is the original Hebrew term for this. Babel comes from the Hebrew word balal, meaning to confuse or mingle, for 2 of the definitions. This word balal ties into the god Baal/Belial, the same deity. The word Migdal can mean temple or elevated platform, or raised bed. So let's just break down some thought forms. The elevated platform of Baal, the raised bed of confusion or mixing/mingling, which sounds a lot like Genesis 6:4, genetic or sexual mixing, and that word mingle is interesting if you know the prophet Daniel, and how he talks about a non-human seed will mingle with the seed of man. Either way, this giant altar to Baal definitely has some sacrifice ritual vibes. Baal, by the way, is another identity for Satan, if you didn't know. Let's tie in CERN right here, the particle accelerator. Smashing atoms believed to be able to break through to another dimension, or even be the Revelation 9 bottomless pit where the beings come from. But CERN also was built on an ancient temple to gods, just like the Tower of Babel. It even has statues out front of the gods. Shiva's one of them. There's even footage of them doing rituals out there, which they said was a joke. Cool story, bro. So originally, the world was one language, but after the tower, when the languages were split, it seems like pictogram forms were the first types of languages because nobody could understand each other. And then eventually, language started to develop. Sumerian, one of the first languages, called this place Entomanaki. Immediately, you can look at some of the root cores that make up the word and see Enki or Anunnaki root core sounds. So in Sumerian, what it says, it's a temple of the foundation of heaven and earth. And this wasn't a foundation to hold up the sky. They weren't stupid. The sky was already held up. Foundation meaning the capital. This was meant to be the capital of heaven and earth, dedicated to Baal, which is why all the ancient religions worship Nimrod and Nimrod's god. Check out this picture. The reason Nimrod was known as many names of many languages is because that's when all the languages were changed and they all remember that story. So obviously, he would be called lots of different things in lots of different languages. And this is the mystery Babylon religion, repackaged, remixed, and telephone game down the line of history. So this one world in unity, one world religion under one ruler worshiping one god with one language is what you're going to see repackaged its way back around at the end with the Antichrist storyline. Just straight up capital for the New World Order style repackaged. Full circle. This will be a good time to show you how Nimrod and his team were on that astrophysicist level of trigonometry. Which, by the way, if you watched this 3 days ago, Google would have told you a different story, since that's what you want to believe anyway. Well, a couple of days ago, if you were to Google when the oldest example of trigonometry was, it would be Hipparchus, Greek astronomer. But if you Google it today, you'll find a completely different answer, because at the time of the Tower of Babel, they found tablets that show a more advanced form of trigonometry than we have today, which has great relevance for our modern world. The article quoted as saying, "The ancient world teaching us something new." Hey, wouldn't you say? Because yeah, while he was planning out trigonometry, he was also just shooting a plain bow and arrow straight up into the sky and thought he killed God because it came down with blood. That's exactly how to interpret that. So what is trigonometry used for anyway? Is that what astrophysicists use? Is that what is being used at CERN? Full circle again. Thought forms expanding. Nimrod, the mighty hunter. Orion, the mighty hunter. Again, this connection with Nimrod and Orion and the pyramids with the way that they're aligned. Also, Orion is called Al-Jabor by Syrians, which is the same as El Gabor, which we went over in the first video, the giant. And Nimrod became a Gaborim. This also ties in with the idea that Nimrod wanted to take out God in heaven, which the whole location of heaven being in an Orion thread, tying back in. In Syrian, Tammuz is Nimrod, and in some languages, Tammuz is what they call Orion. A lot of the ancient religions started by worshiping Nimrod, all by different names, with different languages trying to make language. This was all ancient fertility god worship, birthing Baal. Also on a side note, this seems like this is where nations began. And the nations were divided up among spirit beings known as the Divine Council. This thread is referenced in the Bible, and the Psalms and other places. Also, Michael Heiser has some really good information on it. You can go look up and be educated. So it's because of all this and his failure that the name Nimrod became synonymous with making foolish decisions, and you call somebody a Nimrod. Well, although extremely wise, morally challenging God maybe was not the best experiment for Nimrod to conduct. Also, if you didn't know, the book of Jasher says that Nimrod was killed by Esau. Moving into our final experiment, did God lie? Did God lie, or did the serpent lie? What did they say? What happened after? God said, don't eat from it or you'll die. The serpent said, you can eat from it and you'll be like God. Did they die? The answer is yes. Did they become like God? The answer is no. Still don't believe me? It's because you're not asking the most obvious question that nobody asked. Why didn't they eat from the tree of life? There was no command against eating from the tree of life. It was also in the garden. They were free to eat from the tree of life in a pure and innocent state and live forever that way. That would have made them like God. That was the tree that would have made them like God. They were on their way to that tree to eat eventually from it, and they were intercepted by the serpent, who convinced them to eat from the wrong tree. The same thing he's doing to many of you right now. He convinced them to eat from the wrong tree. That would sabotage all of us and take the long route to becoming like God. We would have been like God if we would have eaten from the tree of life, which was God's original intentions all along, according to the context of the text. But don't worry, God will work his way back around to the tree for us, because after all, he made it for us. Everyone is obviously free to think what they want. These are just interesting data points for you on your journey, as we all head towards the final Tower of Babel scenario. Don't be afraid to tread the unknown when you do your own experiments. Keep seeking truth at all costs. Till I see you next time.